Hey, Medicare
Uh,
mentors.
we have Glenn Shelton with us today. He's a new admin of Medicare Mentors, long-term friend of mine. We've been friends since I got my license in 2016, I think.
Yeah, I mean all the way back to the beginning, you guys. And if you can tell, we're currently in the Philippines. We're actually island shopping right now. That's why you'll see our backgrounds. I have this beautiful palm tree behind me that's actually waving. Joanna's background appears to not have as much 3D going on as mine, but super excited to be I wish I was an admin. I'm just a moderator, but I'm super excited to be a part of this group. I've been a part of this group since pretty much the inception. So I love contributing here. I love how the audience engages here in this group. There's so many groups out there, and some of them don't have the same type of engagement. Some of them are really just to sell you stuff. Some groups are just trying to grow as big as possible. They don't really care about helping each other out. And that's mentors has always been super helpful, whether you're, working with Joanna or you're not working with Joanna. She has always helped somebody out when they're a part of the group. And that's what I've loved about Medicare mentors from the beginning. So
Thank you.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming. It's been a love relationship. It was agents I found on Facebook that helped me when I was an orphan agent under an upline who just did contracts and went ghost and wouldn't release me. And then, I found Joe, and of course, Joe and you had done a project together. I think that's how we got introduced. But yeah, it's been a long time coming. The group has grown leaps and bounds. I wouldn't know. I mean, if you told me this 6 years, 7 years. So my 7-year anniversary is coming up in 2 weeks for my license. And I just can't believe how far I've come in 7 years, because 7 years ago, I would not have done a Facebook Live.
Don't you feel old talking about like the old days? Like I think about stuff like that all the time, because this is for Lead Heroes, this is going to be year 8
Wow.
in business. So yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. When I think back to the beginning, I feel like a grandpa, not to mention I'm going bald from being in this space. So that's part of why I feel ancient too. But
yeah,
it's really cool that I've been able to have relationships and have friends like you throughout the whole time, because, being able to get on a call with you and share stories, and we can talk about how much things have changed. I don't know. That's really cool to have that. And I hope everyone gets to have relationships like that.
yeah. It's been unique, especially because when we came into the industry back then, the industry was really archaic,
Yeah.
We used to have to drive to get signatures because very few people accepted a digital signature, and
Wild.
healthcare.
Fax
And
machines.
or Joe Chitola snail mailing applications,
Oh.
But the industry has come leaps and bounds, and we're working smarter instead of harder. I was
Yes.
just going over some stuff with my agents and showing them some technology. I feel like a grandma when I say we walked uphill both ways, because I was showing my agents the technology of like insurance toolkits. I was like, when I was a baby agent, we had to ask other agents, hey, who takes metformin and who takes insulin and who takes this for like life insurance and med subs and stuff. I was like, we had these things called cheat sheets, right? You got the one good cheat sheet.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's exactly right. It was packets. We had packets for underwriting, packets for quoting, you guys, where you're literally like, you're like, okay, tobacco. You're like going to the back of the sheet. You're like, okay, you use tobacco. You're 65. There's like 20 pages of quotes. It's wild. It really like
my gray hair is starting to show.
I wish I had gray hair. I have no hair, but
the industry has just come leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
And one thing that we wanted to talk about is how you pushed me into growing as a leader and my agency alone, my FMO. because you said I couldn't do it all myself. And I said, watch
Yes.
me. And I've tried, and you're right, I can't do it all myself because I find myself working 3 o'clock in the morning doing stuff that's not the most valuable use of my time, you know.
Sure.
So you introduced me to your program, Hire Heroes, and what a game changer.
Yeah.
My VA virtual assistant Emma has been so on task. Like, I put a task on the we have a platform that we use so she doesn't get lost in the millions of emails I send her. Uh, and you know, I've been able to delegate so much, and delegation, you know, Glenn, has probably been my biggest struggle in the industry, is
Yeah.
delegating, you know, especially
Yeah.
because um I'm an ex-military, everybody knows that. And like, I sometimes you're like, man, it just, if I could just do it myself and know that it's done. And anyways, you know, we've had many discussions of, Joanna, you doing $10 an hour work is not the best, you know, use of your time, you know.
Yes.
And you know, I tried hiring people to come work at my house with me because I work from home because of my
Right.
illness and everything. And that didn't work out. I had a girl sitting right behind me, you know, texting her boyfriend all day.
Oh,
uh,
no.
you
Yeah.
know, and not showing up and everything. And, you know, it was really hard finding people who wanted to work, you know.
Yeah, it
Um,
is.
and
Especially with inflation too. I mean, I feel like it used to be, again, back in the day, as we were talking about aging ourselves, right? It used to be you could pay someone $10, maybe $15 an hour, and you could get some really quality skilled labor here in the US. But nowadays, and someone just posted, I think it was actually in Mentors. It may have been a different Facebook group. I get confused sometimes, but there was, and I see these posts all the time where it's like, oh man, I need an administrative assistant. I put a $15 an hour job ad out there and I'm not getting any traction. What's going on? It's like, well, due to the cost of living going, you know, double essentially over the past 5 years, 10 years, you
true.
know, depending on where you want to start and look at it, it's really hard. It's hard to find someone. Like you said,
Hmm.
that's not, your story is common. You know, people are struggling to find help here in the US paying 10, 12, $15 an hour. It's really tough. And it's a waste of your time to do all that work yourself, right? So it's like, what do? You know, you can't find someone that's quality here at 10 to 15 an hour. You don't want to waste your time doing a 10 to $15 an hour task when your time is worth hundreds of dollars an hour,
Yeah.
right? So it puts you in this really difficult position, right?
Hmm. Really difficult position. And, you know, I had a great need. I had to do 50 contracts all of a sudden, all at the same time, to move Top Flight to our new IMO. And the
Yeah,
downline with it, the agents are partners and
right.
seamlessly, you know, and that's a lot of work. And, you know, I spoke at a conference last week, and I was, you know, with a bunch of agent partners in the training in the field and everything. Even this past week, I was in the field training agents. And so I can't do everything all at the same time, you know. Um,
Yeah,
so
aren't
Emma,
you flying out to another conference tomorrow?
Friday, yeah, I'm flying out to
Oh,
Vegas
Friday.
again. My
Oh,
second time in a month in Las Vegas, and it was the first time I'd been there since I was 11. So that's kind of like crazy.
now
Like,
you're a regular.
yeah, now I'm a pro. I was
Yeah.
telling my friend that's coming this time, I was like, I could show you the ropes. I know it now, you know. I was giving them hotel advice. I was like, don't stay here. It took us a mile walk to the convention center. Stay here and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm flying out Friday for a week, and then I come home for the weekend, and then I go to Alabama to speak again at another conference. You know, I'm grateful for the opportunities.
For sure.
And it's the conference windows usually from March until May, you know,
Right.
and then we have six-figure
In June.
summit in Salt Lake City in June. So I get to come home for 3 weeks and do some work in the field, and then go back out to Salt Lake City and then come home for a month and then go to Cleveland and then do 40 certifications in my AHIP.
Yeah. So your schedule's slammed, right? So it's like,
Yeah, slammed.
who handles these day-to-day activities for you,
Mhm.
right? When you're not available, obviously taking advantage of an opportunity like speaking at a conference is huge, right? I
Yep.
mean, you can't not do that. But then at the
Right.
same time, who's going to answer the phone? Who's going to respond to the emails?
Yep.
Who's going to be able to do something like what you talked about, moving 50 contracts? I know firsthand from talking to our clients, I know exactly how labor intensive that can be,
Yep.
and it sounds simple. It sounds simple, like, oh, I'm just going to sign up here and I'm moving my upline. But then you have to go through all these different carriers with all of your different brokers that are underneath you. It can be crazy time consuming, and things are going to come up. You're going to miss a signature. You're going to need to maybe track down someone's commissions, go through commission statements, make sure contracts actually got moved. So that's, again, that's what we're here to come in and help you guys with at Hire Heroes, is being able to have a vetted virtual assistant from a trusted source at an extremely affordable rate.
Mhm.
We're literally $11 an hour at part-time to $9 an hour if you pay full-time quarterly. So, it's really difficult to find someone stateside to at that type of pay rate. Not to mention the time it takes to find somebody. You're doing job ads, you're doing interviews, you're going through resumes. So yeah, I'm just excited that you finally move forward with allowing us to help you and get these low revenue generating tasks that are necessary. You have to have them done, get them off your plate so you can focus on the big things, focus on your stage time,
Exactly.
putting your talks together.
So yeah, so I think everybody should be really proud of me because like I had Emma, I had to sort through my contracts and find all my writing numbers. I had her to do the downlines, writing numbers and everything and
Yeah.
track where everything was. And my licenses, I had her uploading all my licenses to my CRM for
There you
both
go.
Joanna and Top Flight, and I have 45 licenses. It's not like an easy thing,
Right.
because a lot of the contracts want your California and Arizona and Nevada license attached to the contract, but just, right now I have her deleting all the junk spam that's been filling up my brand new email. These companies, they hit you 3 times a day wanting you to buy their steaks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was like, hey Emma, please go through my email and clean it out with all the junk and because the important stuff is starting to like get hidden. I was like, I need to, just things like that. But I've even starting to delegate her to do contracts for me. We were talking like some people don't think that a VA can do that type of high. It's not a high skill, but it's like the most important thing in our life, right?
Right.
And what I did, I made a cheat sheet for her that had all of my agency information on it, all of Joanna's information on it that she would need, like my NPNs, my EIN, my social, my date of birth, my address, my state licenses, and she has access to my CRM and everything. And I don't have any background questions that she has to answer yes to, So I just put that all on a form for her. And I was like, the questions might be moved around a little bit per contract, but it's all about the same stuff, and I trust her with it because you trust her with it because you've already done her background,
100%.
because she has my EIN, she has my bank account information,
Right.
she has my
This is
life.
No, it's a great point because this comes up all the time. I just talked to an agency owner a couple weeks ago, and he's like, I want to start referring you to my agents, but I'm really concerned about the idea of a data breach, which, the first thing I asked him, I said, have you ever had a data breach before? Because again, I think some agents get really caught up in what could go wrong, right? Which I'm not saying not to ponder those questions. You want to stay compliant And you do want to plan for the worst case scenario. I totally believe that. But I get worried that sometimes agents get stuck in this mindset like, this could go wrong. I can't have anybody help me in my business because they're going to violate all these compliance rules. So, I'm talking to them about the privacy of their information. And the question again is, Glenn, at Hire Heroes, what do you do to vet these people? Well, one, before they get hired, they go through a background check. So anybody who has, any type of criminal history, anything that would look suspicious, those people aren't even allowed in the door to begin with. Next, we're vetting their character because these are existing employees. Other people in this space, they are blind hiring people and just passing them out, and they're not vetting them. Even if they say they are, I know for a fact that some individuals who are in this space, and unfortunately there's quite a few options out there, and some of them are just blind hiring and passing them along. So, we work with them for several months, if not years, before we're giving them to you as a virtual assistant. So we have our own work history experience, a criminal background check. We also have $1 million cyber insurance policy because, again, I know how important this is, and this has come up time and time again. What happens if private information gets breached? Well, we do have an insurance policy in place. God forbid if something horrible were to happen, that could, again, help satiate, make someone whole in the event of sensitive information getting out there. I would never, just because of my own brand essentially being attached as my identity, I would never want to put someone in place in your agency, right, Joanna? Like, I would never want to give you someone who I would think is a liability in any way to begin with. So, I mean, the risk, I think, is very low. And is there a risk? Of course. There's a risk. When Joanna had someone literally come to her house to work with her, that person was a risk too, because they could have taken pictures with their phone and walked out the door and never came back, right? So there is always risk, but we try to minimize it. And the bigger risk, in my opinion, is Joanna spending a week just trying to get all this contracting done herself, wasting the limited time that she has, because just like she said, you guys, she has, a conference she was just at. She's about to go to another conference. This is her only week, maybe, to work with some of her agents. If she spends this week just doing the contract work, she can't maybe train someone that would be 10 times more valuable to her. So exactly. I really appreciate you bringing that up. I also just appreciate your trust in me and my service and my company, because that means the world to me. So I really appreciate you talking about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've known each other for almost my entire insurance career. And, I mean, obviously I've been burned before by trusting the wrong people, but I've seen how your staff functions and everything. And, even when we're having your staff email me Zoom links and stuff like that and coordinate stuff, just the most professional ever, and I just appreciate that. But like, I asked you a question the other day. I was like, do you think Emma could handle this? And you're like, of course, she already knows how to do that. Like, I was like, dude, she's going to teach me. Because a lot of times, people don't want to hire because they might not know how to train somebody, or they might lack that skill. But one of the things about actually hiring a virtual assistant is they might have a better skill than you.
Yeah.
And so we were talking about the Go High Level platform. A lot of agents are using that now in some sort of white labeled brand, yes. Right? And I know I use it. My entire university is built on it. My share drive is built on it. I have inbound funnels for my personal book of business. And then a lot of my partners want to use it. And a lot of them are like, well, I don't even know how to do this. And I don't know how to do this. And I don't know how to do this. I was like, hey, guess what? Emma can help us do it all. Yeah. And so we're actually looking forward to that and having, those funnels and everything helped out. So I'm just really like, the burden has been taken off, because I know that I can send something to Emma and it just gets taken care of. And like, she surprised me, like stuff that I thought would take a lot longer. She's like, okay, I'm done. What do you have now for me? Whereas
Yeah.
some people are not the most honest and they drag out a task.
Sure.
Like, I had the young girl here last summer, and things that should have taken her an hour, she dragged
Right.
out for 5 hours, and I'm like, doesn't it take 5 hours to go to Nipper and print off my license? Like, I've
Right.
done this before. you know
Yeah, they're
um
milking you. They're milking you for those hours. And again, you don't have to know all the technical stuff like with Go High Level. You just have to know what you want, right?
yep.
Like that's all you have to know is being able to articulate or express, hey, I want the software to do this. And
Yep.
then our team, or in this case, Emma, she can tell you, well, this is how I can set it up. And maybe there's some limitations there. And if she doesn't know the answer, again, because we're trying to take the best of the best, they're self-starters. They're usually independent. If they don't know all the answers, they're usually good at being able to go out and find that answer.
Mm-hmm.
And my other team members as a resource, because Go High Level is like 80% of CRMs, it seems like, that agents have switched to, usually we can find the answer. So yeah, all you have to do, and CRMs is such a great example because it's so useful and it's so important, but the average agent refuses to actually use it, right? So that's not even an excuse anymore. You don't even have to use it. Just sign up for it, get a virtual assistant, and tell them what you want done.
Yep.
It's like magic.
That was one of Emma's tasks. Is I was having her download everything from all my books of business, to upload to my CRMs and everything, and to prepare for the move.
Yeah.
Another thing. So talking about self-starting. So I wanted to transfer my email from one platform to another because I put it on Outlook, but I really don't like Outlook. I really love the Gmail. I have another business account on my Gmail, and I like having a Google Drive and everything right there, and I can share things from my Google Drive with her, or just upload a whole bunch of videos and tell her to edit them and upload them. And
Yeah.
so I said, hey, can you research how to move this from Outlook to Gmail? 20 seconds later, I had instructions. Like
Yeah.
I was like, so I mean, she was just saving me time and everything, and things that I don't know how to do yet. Like I could say, hey, can you research how to go, do a Virginia registered agent, or things like that, and
Yep.
done. Same thing as me sitting here trying to Google it and waste time, right? So those are things I'm trying to get better at, and it just took a little bit of time of me trying to figure out, okay, this is what I can delegate to her and everything. And I mean, pretty much everything that you don't have to put your hands on. Like, I mean, obviously I can't make her write my birthday cards and stuff, but
Yeah. But no, that's a great point. Like people ask all the time, what's the limitation, Glenn? Like, what can't this person do? Well, they're inside your computer, right?
yeah.
They're working with you in a virtual world. So in that way, they're essentially sitting in front of you, but they can't go check your PO box and
Right.
and drop off your mail and then maybe pick. But literally, like your imagination's the limitation. I mean, I've had so many tasks where previously I would have thought there's no way, like I'm gonna have to do this myself. But then either they already think of it or I'm like, hey, why don't you try this and let's see what happens. And again, the software that's coming out these days is incredible. So sometimes the gaps can be filled by software that they either know about or they can research and find. To your point, that independent factor, that self-starter factor, that's the rarity. That's the
That
gem.
is the hardest thing to find, even in agents. A lot of agents aren't self-starters, and a lot of us probably shouldn't have never been self-employed. But with the ones that I have found, if you just tell them exactly what you're looking for,
Right.
they'll do it, very literal. And like, I mean, talk about being on time with no excuse of, oh, my dog has, my dog had to do this and my kid had to do this. Like, she just shows up on time and I'm like, you're here already,
Yep.
Let's get to work, So some other things that we've been doing, I have a VoIP phone service.
Yeah.
and I'm trying to utilize it more because I've been so bad at it, Glenn. I'm like the worst. Like I have all this technology and I'm trying to use it, because
Yeah.
we get used to one thing. And so I talk about this all the time. You know, I've given everybody in the world my cell phone, right?
Right.
And even clients are texting me on the cell phone,
Yeah,
agents are
you're not
texting me on the cell phone.
you're not alone. This is a lot more common than you would think. Most people, I mean, again, at the very start of my career, I was doing the same thing.
Yep.
Everybody got my cell phone number,
And I saw an agent comment in another group this past weekend of somebody calling them or texting them at 4 a.m. And people aren't trying to wake you up, Glenn. They were just texting because that's when they think about it. I texted an agent, Zach, at 11:15 last night because that's when I was thinking about it, and I
Yeah.
wasn't trying to wake him up or be obnoxious. But if you transfer that landline, you can transfer your cell phone to your VYP, and now your assistant can answer it. And so that's what I'm going to do, especially when I'm speaking at conferences and stuff, where I'm not going to answer my phone the entire 3 days I'm at this conference, because the most important thing is for me to be eyeball to eyeball with these people that, I want information from, and like, so I'm going to have Emma answer the phone while I'm at work,
Yeah.
and she can answer the phone. My VoIP, you can text back and forth and everything. They never know it's an app,
Exactly.
They
Exactly.
think,
It could be in their mind, they might be thinking you have this big office and they're talking to the secretary that's sitting at the front of the office. They don't know. And they're 9 out of 10 times they would never see an office anyways. So it doesn't matter. I saw a post. I want to talk about this because I saw a post in another Facebook group recently too. And the post was, what at what point are you just overwhelmed with too many clients? That was the post. You may have seen this. And then one of the comments, this agent was sharing what they thought was like this neat little hack, this neat little trick. They said that they take their phone and that when they're programming in the client's number, they also include what plan the client's on.
I do that.
And and I have no qualms with that. Like that is smart, right? To be able to say, "Oh yeah, how's your Mutual of Omaha Plan G, Mrs. Jones?" But you're still, if you get to 1,000 clients, that's still 1,000 people that are trying to call you, Joanna, when you could have someone in between you and the client. And I'm telling you, 80% of, maybe even more, maybe 90% of these calls are really basic. No licensed agent needs to be on that phone.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
We've been trying to micromanage policyholders who really are just like, hey, am I supposed to open this bill? Am I supposed to do anything to change my insurance? Do I need to change my insurance? Or I got this thing from Humana. It says not a bill, but is this a bill?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of or hey, Joanna, I moved. Can you, do a new application for me? Well, Emma could schedule that for me on my calendar.
Yes.
Instead of me saying, okay, Miss Jones, yep, I can talk to you tomorrow or next Friday about that. And this is what I need to do a new move,
And then she's upset that you're not doing it right there and then, right? Because she's thinking, I've got you right now. Why can't you just do it right now? But Emma's setting it up for, someone loses their card, right? Emma can
order a new card.
Yeah, Emma can call the carrier and order that card or do it online, right? I mean, depending on the carrier, like there's so much that can be done that you don't have to do as an agent.
So that's where I'm moving forward. So we were discussing this yesterday. I was like, do you think Emma could do this? And you're like, hell yeah, Emma could do that. And Emma's like Emma's a rock star. She's probably smarter than me, Like anybody who can manage go high level and this is how you do this. Like, I mean, she might not have an insurance license in the United States, but she is on it, and she was figuring out how to do this and everything for me, just work smarter. And so, so we're moving there, it's like, it's becoming more efficient, I think that's where, especially solo agents in their own office, when they're hitting hundreds of clients, 400, 500,000 clients, and they're being bombarded with service work and everything. Like, how do you minimize the service work or the time you spend on the service work so you can get new clients,
Yep.
And it's finding the relief. giving the callbacks to Emma. So the calendar is being managed by your admin, and you're just actually doing the sales part of it, So like Emma can collect drug prescriptions for me. She can get someone's MBI for me and everything. She can even do pre-screening for me and probably appointment setting. I wish I knew about Emma when I was a new agent trying to call my freaking leads,
Yeah.
I was the worst at calling. I was just discussing this today where I had all these leads and I was just the worst at calling them. And they come on a CRM and everything, but appointment setting, you can have your VA do that,
Exactly.
It's just really just so many ways that we can get rid of the tasks either that we are not worth our time or that we don't like to do.
Exactly. Well, and that's the not liking to do tasks. That's the easy ones. But then there's the ones where you feel like you can't delegate, right? Where there's this barrier, and I feel like you broke, like talking to you right now today, Joanna, I'm like, she broke the wall down. I really do. I feel like you broke the wall.
I feel like I won.
I'm like, she did it, because I'll give you just an example. One of the most successful med sup agents I know, he single-handedly on his own pen built up to like 2,000 to 3,000 clients.
Wow.
And it was a Saturday. I'll never forget this. It was Saturday morning. I was at his house. Of course, he had a really nice house. I'm at his house. I'm in his basement. I think we were going to like play. He had a pool table. We're getting ready to play pool. And all of a sudden his phone rings. And he immediately picks it up and he's talking. I'm thinking it's like a really important call. And it was absolutely a 20-minute service call that he took with a client. And I'm just staring at him. I'm like, really? I'm like, you're this far along. You're this far along. You clearly have the revenue coming in to spend on administrative tasks. Like you don't have to do this yourself.
Right.
But in his head, because I talked a ton to him about it, in his head, he has to be the one to answer the phone. And it's a control thing.
It's a control thing.
Just holding on so tight. Like
it is 100% a control thing. And I admit that as the world's worst control freak.
Well, all self-employed
self-proclaimed
people are. Yeah, all self-employed people have a certain level of control freak in them. I'm right there with you with certain things that I hold on to that I should probably let go of. But again, I feel like a lot of your control things that we talked about previously, I feel like you've already crossed that wall, and that's huge. That's everything. That's where you really start to see the benefit.
And the thing is, like with Emma, I can see what she's done. She reports back to me on the app, like what she got done that day. And so I can review it and make sure that, everything is, correct. Just like you would review anybody's work. I mean, when I worked at, Social Security or even training new agents, they send me their work before they submit it and stuff,
Exactly.
Nobody's 100% perfect. But I was watching her work and I was like, this girl is just like me. She's meticulous, and I say girl, woman, this woman is just like me, like the Air Force and the Social Security, like I couldn't miss a period, I couldn't miss 3 cents, like, because it was wrong, right? Like I couldn't miss the screw because I would kill somebody,
Right.
And so she's just as meticulous as me, and that's what I appreciate. And that's been a struggle. I feel like not many people care about your business or being correct in the United States today. Like a lot of the workforce we have now, they're very just
the well's been poisoned, right? The well's been poisoned, right? There's a lack of. It used to be that you could get an employee that came in and they would take pride in their work. They took pride in working for you as a business owner. It doesn't seem to exist here. It's rare. Not saying you can't find it. You can. They're out there, but especially when we're talking about the low revenue tasks, right? We're talking about a $10 to $15 an hour US employee. It's hard to have that sort of dedication. And
it's not like a sexy job, and it could get quite monotonous and boring, I sat here and entered Joanna's licenses all day, know. But it was still done, great. And so that's how, the trust was built up to trust her with bigger projects. Once I saw the smaller projects were done with meticulous detail, you know.
Yep.
And so I know that Christian hasn't seen this yet. Because we've debated. I asked Christian, I was like, are you having your VA do contracting? He's like, no. But I think that, you know, he should probably do what I did, make them a cheat sheet with all the agency information on. Just try. You're never gonna know unless you try. And it's
Boom! Christian Brindle, you just got roasted right here in Medicare Mentors.
But you know, it's everything in insurance can be fixed. So if someone misses something, it can get corrected, you know. But I think that it would be, especially for us growing agencies, MGAs, FMOs, you know, if you're growing and onboarding, like I'm onboarding 5 agents a day, you know, and they all need transfers or, you know, links to do contracting and training and everything. I can't be the one to do that every day anymore, you know. I tried, like I did it for years and years and years, and it's just not the best use of my time. Now my best use of my time is either selling myself or teaching somebody else to sell, you know, and not sitting here.
It can be scary when you let go. It can feel like you're falling because you're
Yeah.
like, I'm not seeing this contract get filled out. Is this agent actually getting contracted? But then once you realize that, like you said, 98% of the time, this person can do the job that you were about to do anyways, right? And if you just have to spend 5 minutes fixing one contract versus spending your whole week fixing 50 contracts, it's a night and day. And again, talking about what separates an MGA like Top Flight from an IMO, like a big IMO that exists in the market, like Senior Market Sales, right? Well, they have a lot of staff that helps them do these day-to-day tasks, like, you know, it could be maybe someone's wanting a marketing, they're talking to you about marketing credits they're getting from the carrier. Maybe it's moving a contract. Maybe they need a carrier that they don't have yet. They have 3 of the carriers, they need a 4th, whatever it is. All of these little different things that as an individual person is just going to bog you down. You just can't do it. You can't do that and grow. You could do it, right? But to just focus on recruiting, going to these events, getting contracts, you know, carrier relationships is obviously super important to you, right? Like focusing on the big important things. That's what I love.
Yeah, no, I'll like I had interviews all day, and Emma gets to do the work tomorrow from the interviews today, you know.
Yeah.
Emma, we need this, this, and this for Jen. Emma, we need this, this, and this for so and so. And it's just clearing up my time. And you know, a lot of I was worried about, okay, Glenn, are they gonna work on my East Coast time? Like that was a concern. And you're like, oh yeah, they're all used to doing that, you know?
Yeah.
And so that, like, knowing that someone was going to be able to call Humana or whatever while I'm tied up, big things, you know. That was one of the problems when I had at Social Security, actually, when I was a part-time agent. I was at Social Security all day trying to sell at night, and I couldn't call Humana myself during the day, you know. And so this is actually a good solution for a part-time agent who has another job. We have a couple of nurses and pharmacists in this group, and they might have, you know, they might not be able to call the carrier between 8 and 5, but they can use a VA to do that, you know. And so
yeah, you know, it's funny is last time I was over there, I remember, because again, obviously when you travel across the world, the time zones, you can get so jet lagged and your whole sleep schedule can be off. But, you know, I remember getting to the point, I'm like getting ready to go to bed around midnight over there. And I'm thinking, oh, weird. Like my entire team is waking up right now to start working because it's morning in the US and I'm exhausted. I'm going to bed. But yeah, it really is. It's so common because, again, there's so many companies here stateside who utilize overseas help that culturally it's really become the norm to work a night shift position like this. So whether you're Eastern Standard, Central, Pacific Standard, it doesn't matter. You know, we can customize their schedule to your schedule.
Now I want to talk about a couple of things that some people have asked or wondered about. You know, like a couple of carriers had outsourced their services overseas, and sometimes you get somebody where you don't really know if they understood what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Now, in my experience, like that, Emma has better English than I have. You know, like, I mean, like I didn't hear any roosters in her background.
Right. Right.
You know, like it was like a professional corporate,
Yeah.
interview when I had her on Zoom and we were talking and everything, and I just really appreciated that, because I was just like, if somebody's gonna be answering my phones or calling a carrier on my behalf, like I wanted it to make sure that they understood the insurance industry, and they do. Like your staff understands insurance. They know the lingo, they know the acronyms, because that's all we do is acronyms,
Yeah.
right? um
Yeah.
and they're just
ABC,
so,
Medicare
most
ABCs.
most of them have, bachelor's degrees, and a lot of them have, 3, 4, 5 languages that they speak, and so it's not just
It's a perception. It's
yeah,
super great
it was
point.
a
And this,
wrong perception that I
yeah.
had for a long time, and I'm guilty of that. I mean, it's not prejudice; it's just a wrong perception.
No, there, and here the problem is, right? So some of these call centers they accept anybody, right?
Mhm.
It's some of these really big call centers, whether it's in the Philippines or even in Pakistan or India, these call centers overseas, because again, it's not just the Philippines, but they will literally take in anybody and they're paying like the bottom rate that they can. So so now you have these really, really big call centers who will be doing work, and they will have horrible communication skills. Like you said, it's not a prejudice thing. It's really just a quality of work that some of these really big companies stateside were okay with, and
Yeah.
they signed off on it.
Right.
And now you have this frustrated either prospect, or maybe it's you that's frustrated because you can't communicate. So again, that just goes, I think, to speak to the vetting process that we do. We do have a ton of training that people go through, specifically senior insurance related, Medicare final expense, before they even hit the ground inside our company. And then they're specialized in it, right? They're learning about it as they're doing the actual job before we would actually transplant them as a virtual assistant. So it is important to me, though, because that was the last thing that I wanted from the beginning, is I never wanted someone to have that feeling like, oh man, he's just taking in anybody that is willing to work, or oh, he's really not vetting these people, or the accent is so strong I can't communicate with this person. So I appreciate you bringing that up, because that's always been a really big one for me, is making sure that whether it's you, Joanna, or it's your agent, or like you said, they're calling the carrier for you, the last thing you would want is for there to be all these communication issues all over the place. And it's like, oh, well, I couldn't even understand what your assistant was telling me, Joanna. But
Right.
yeah, it's really just a perception issue. And I
Mhm.
think it's gotten better. I think it has gotten, I think the perception 10 years ago is that almost everyone was like, oh no, it doesn't work. Like you can't talk to anybody overseas without there being an issue. I think people have really come around to it more and more now, whether it's the senior population or, insurance agents here stateside.
I agree. It definitely changed mine when I talked to Emma, and I was like, I'm getting someone with like a bachelor's degree in English, to do, my work for me and everything. And this is really cool, like I didn't have to explain what a license was to her or anything. She already knew the insurance industry and what my business model was. Um, Even some United States civilians don't understand it. So yeah, I mean, I'm just looking for having all these things like on automation soon. And that's one thing I'm going to have her do, is start automating some of our tasks on the Go High Level platform. Because every time I come up with something, I just ask Eric. I said, "Hey, Eric, you think DFY will do this?" And he's like, I think we might be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because I use mine a little bit different than everybody else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm
I
excited
was
about it.
I was looking at the comments, and there
Mhm.
was a question from Steve. He said, how do you overcome the objection where they only want to speak to you and not to anyone else in the office.
Mhm.
So, yeah, why don't you build that?
So,
Tell me what you think.
so I don't get the privilege of calling the VA and demanding to speak to my doctor right there, right? I don't get the privilege of calling and speaking to anybody like immediately, especially if there's no real problem, like,
Right,
nobody chopped off the wrong leg or anything,
right,
But even when I call to make a doctor's appointment or something, I'm talking to a receptionist. People are used to, hey, this is Joanna's assistant. Unfortunately, she's talking on stage right now,
right.
but I could get you an appointment to talk to her. Here's her calendar, I mean, most Americans are kind of used to having somebody's assistant make them appointments, I
Yep.
mean, you don't reach any dentist directly, chiropractor. I mean, I walked into a bunch of offices when I was down in Tampa doing some training with one of the agents, and we walked into a bunch of offices. We never walked in and saw Dr. Jones sitting right there waiting for us at the front desk.
Yep.
No, they're in the back working just like we would want to be in the back working, They
Exactly.
get paid to do the high skilled work. They don't get paid to answer the phone, And so a lot of it, Glenn, I think is um, if you train your clients on how you work, I train my clients on how I work, and a lot of them are on my Facebook and they know how I work.
Yep.
Linda knows. Linda, I am your agent. We are married in Medicare. She's moved a couple times now. If you move, I'm here. I'll run your plans again and everything like that. But this is what I need from you.
Yep.
Now I have to work on a calendar because I've gotten so busy thanks to all of the referrals you've sent me, right? They know that you're not their only client,
Right.
right?
Right.
They know that the only way I can keep the lights on is to have multiple clients, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, Linda, are you dying? Okay, you're not dying. Okay. Joanna will call you back when she gets off stage or when she gets out of her appointment. Can I tell her if what you need so she can prepare it, I
Yep.
mean, because if you just need to change your address, I'd like to know that ahead of time, you know? But
I I think it's on, if I'm being brutally honest with an agent that's watching this, it's a lack of respect for yourself. If you genuinely believe that you need to be the one, and I can tell you this again firsthand as a business owner, where at one point this was one of the last tasks that like I held on to, anything that was client related, because it was so near and dear to my heart. Because again, I'm thinking this is my company, this is my business. If you have an issue, if you're interested in buying something, you're new, or any really like any phone related work, I was doing all of it myself for the longest time. I didn't want to let go. But just like Joanna said, what company can you just call and get the owner on the phone? Just like that is so unusual. And if you really respect yourself and you respect your time and your schedule, people can give you 24 to 48 hours. You can tell, even if it is critical. Joanna, I thought I had already contracted with this carrier. I just wrote an app yesterday. Oh my gosh, this is so horrible. What am I going to do? Joanna, we'll get back to you tomorrow first thing. I promise. I see a spot on her calendar. It looks like she's available around 8 a.m. tomorrow. She can call you then. It's not like we're operating on seniors, right? Like
right.
things can wait and your schedule can be respected. I love
We're
that.
not surgeons in the ER,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
insurance. Can
Yeah.
I fix your issue at 9 o'clock at night with Humana? No, not Humana's not open at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Yeah.
My sister, she's an attorney. She can't answer the phone when she's in court, I
Yep.
mean, that would be silly. Why can't I talk to Melissa? Because she's in front of the judge winning someone's case right now, just like you would want her to win your case. Like, I mean, why can't I talk to the doctor? Well, he has his hands buried in someone's guts right now,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
he's going to do surgery on you. I mean, it's obvious. Well, why can't I talk to Joanna? She's doing someone else's Medicare right now.
Exactly.
When she's done with her appointment, she will call you back. I can
She's
take notes.
traveling today. She's speaking on stage the day after that. I think I can get you on her calendar next Monday. That's her earliest available. I'm sorry. She
And I think
also has
most
a
people
business to
understand that.
run. Yeah.
I was with my friend Brian Gay in Vegas last week, and he's like, my calendar has a 3-week booking. He's like, I'm booked for 3 weeks, all based off of referrals. I was like, Brian, that's phenomenal, you know? And he's like, people will wait if they want my help. And if they don't want my help, they can call eHelp, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I love it.
I mean, like you don't really want to work with an agent who's just sitting around going,
Yep.
I wish the phone would ring. Just sitting here waiting for you to call me, you know? I
I've
mean,
got nothing to do. I need
they
your
don't,
help.
they're probably not the receptionist at their job.
Right.
Think about it. I mean, I have lawyers and doctors and everything as my clients. They're not answering the phones for at their job. I can't call their job and demand to speak to them, you know? And so, I mean, I think it's just how you train your clients to how you work, you know? Mr. Jones, my office is open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You know, you're going to probably get my assistant when I'm on the phone with somebody else. It's fine. Emma's the best note taker in the entire world. You know, she sends me instant messages. I will know you're on the phone and I'll call you back as soon as I can get a chance, you know? I mean, just telling people how you function is easy. You know,
Yeah.
we treat people, we teach people how to treat us, Glenn,
Yeah.
right? And I think
Exactly.
it's a lot like real relationships in real life. You know,
100%.
Glenn, if you text me and I don't respond in 5 seconds, do you think that I just don't like you?
That's what I tell Christian.
Christian probably has priority over me, but people have lives. You're not their only friend, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
When I was calling my leads, I used to have to trick my brain and be like, okay, they're just making dinner. It's nothing personal against me. They're just busy because it's life. Nobody was expecting me to call right this second, you know?
Yeah.
So
I
you teach people how to treat you, you
so
know?
for me, I think a lot of it was tied to like my net worth.
Mm,
Like I always looked at it like, well, yeah, Jeff Bezos isn't answering his phone because he's a billionaire building rockets, right? Like
right.
obviously you can't get him on the phone. You know, I'm not that rich yet, so I have to answer every single phone call when my phone rings. So, but again, that was just an incorrect mindset for sure. Like you have life, you have things you have to do. And you know what? We've been talking a ton about professional, like we're talking about how Joanna's about to go to a conference and she's going to be traveling, and like that's obviously important, but guess what, guys? You can also have personal days too, where you know what? Joanna has to go to the doctor this day and she's going to take the rest of that day off. So she's just going to block her whole calendar that day. And so Emma, her virtual assistant's going to answer any phone calls. And again, unless it's like a nuclear bomb is about to go off, like Joanna doesn't want to hear about it that day. And that's you deserve that, right? You deserve that.
I get to have a colonoscopy on the 13th.
Oh no. That's not, but hey, again, super relevant, right? Like you're not going to want to answer any calls that day.
No, and Emma's going to be like, sorry, Joanna is currently lying on a table, being very uncomfortable right now. I mean, I think that many of our seniors can relate. They don't want to talk when they're having a colonoscopy,
Yes,
you know.
yes. And they get them a lot from what I'm
Yeah.
told.
Unfortunately, I had you know, prior cancer scare at 36, and so now I have to have one every 3 years. But you know, people, your right clients will want you to take care of your mental health and your body, and they want you to go on vacation. A bunch of my clients are on my Facebook, and the first thing they say, Glenn, when they do get me on the phone is, Joanna, I saw you taking your mom on the cruise. It was so awesome of you. It looked like you had so much fun. Or Joanna, I can't believe you went to Magic Mike. That's really great. You know, like they're talking
Yeah.
about what they're seeing on Facebook, and that's why I love sharing content, because they're watching. But then they're also saying, hey, Joanna, I see that you got COVID. Anything I can do? Like some of my clients actually sent me gifts when I had COVID last
Oh,
year. You know, some of them sent, like somebody sent it was like a soup kit. And then when I had a miscarriage, like the entire world grieved with me when I was, you know, having a miscarriage, because it was really public.
yeah,
And so many of them shared their stories and were willing to let me talk to them about it, you know, because
yeah,
I mean, it's not something, I mean, a lot of people have gone through what I've gone through, you know, so people want to know that you're human, Glenn, and I'm
Yep.
human. They've gone through the same thing,
100%.
we don't have to act like we're robots anymore.
Yep.
Like, I'm allowed to be human. I'm allowed to have a life. I'm allowed to go on vacation. I'm allowed to get sick. I
Yeah.
mean, I missed the conference last year because I got COVID on a cruise,
It
and
happens.
life happens. Joanna
Yeah.
has COVID again.
Yeah.
And I mean, everybody knows what has happened. I mean, they've lost friends from COVID. Oh my God, Joanna, anything you need. I mean, I had one of my clients drive over a medication for me that I couldn't find anywhere.
Wow.
I mean, it just touched my heart that she thought that much of me. I mean, she lived like 40 minutes away from me, but people want you to be well.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so I don't mind sharing, my personal daily life, like going through something. I got COVID for the third time. I got the crud. I mean, life happens, and
It does.
Emma's gonna have to answer the phone sometimes.
That's right.
Hopefully Emma, I hate the phone. I really hate the phone. I'll be on Zoom all day, but I hate the phone. I hate the phone because I think it's just the, oh my gosh, what is it? Kind of the anticipation of something bad, and sometimes it's something good. Like, hey Joanna, can I send all of my friends to you? You just amazing. Oh yeah, send them all.
Send them. I'm
But
ready.
but yeah, I mean, the
It's about the quality over quantity, in my opinion, right? Like, especially with phone work. Like, I'm happy to be on the phone all day, but man, it better be like really important, high quality conversations. I don't want to be handling customer service all day. And,
mhm.
like I said about that previous agent, like, it was just wild to see, like, on a Saturday morning, which, for me, like, Sunday morning, Saturday morning, not saying that I don't work on the weekend sometimes, but a lot of times that is my holy time where I'm with my family or I'm doing
Yep,
my own thing. And
yep,
to see them answer a call that was 100% irrelevant,
yep.
and then to take the time to defend it afterwards, to me, like, oh no, I had to take that call. Like, my clients expect me to answer the phone.
No, they don't.
That's what makes me better than the other agents. And I'm like, no, like, you didn't have to answer that call. I promise you didn't. And like you said, and what I really loved what you just said too is, if they are the type of person where if you don't answer the phone, they want to leave immediately, right? Let them go. Yeah, let them go. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Like, I can't be available at the drop of a hat, and neither can Joanna, and neither should you as an agent. You
They don't
should.
answer their phones after
Yeah,
work. They do not.
yeah,
None of these people answer their phones after work. When I worked at Social Security, I didn't take the Social Security phone with me. You know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
Yeah,
They know, even if they know that you work from home, you can't be 24/7. And Christian and I have been talking about this a lot, and I'm really proud of him lately. I text him, and I think it was like 5:30 his time yesterday, maybe the day before. And he said, "Sorry, I can't talk. I'm on daddy duty." And I was so proud because a lot of times we've given our time to other people instead of taking it for our family, our wife, our
yes,
kids, our husband.
yes,
And, I've given my time to agents or consumers, and they didn't need that time right then, but I robbed my family of it.
100%.
I robbed my stepdaughter of watching Disney with her because I answered the phone for somebody who really didn't need me at that crisis.
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
unless your house is on fire, and I really can't do anything if your house is on fire anyways. But
Exactly.
like, I mean, eh, I'll be there for emotional support, but like, if it's not anything life changing, it's my daughter's time now. It's my
Yeah.
boyfriend's time now. It's my person. Glenn, like, my friends are getting on me. I used to sit at the computer for 18 hours a day. Joanna, you need to get up from the computer and take some personal time and go walk and go eat dinner.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
like, a lot of us don't take care of our own personal health and our own personal mental capacity. You know,
100%.
and so we're learning, and Christian and I are really learning um, how to just break off at like 6 o'clock or whatever time we designate to take time for our personal selves and our families, because the divorce rate in the insurance world is sky high. The agents, I'm watching agents, lose their health issues because they're not taking care of them. And I've been guilty myself. I gained 55 pounds in COVID because I sat here ordering DoorDash thinking I had to be, all things to all people.
Right. Yeah. I've
And
gone through
now
that
I'm
too.
trying to reverse the injuries I did to my own body, And I used to say, well, I don't have
100%.
time to walk during the day because the phone just keeps ringing. Well, now Emma gets to answer the phone and be like, Joanna's out enjoying a nice walk right now. She'll call you back later.
That freedom, and again, that's why I got into this space to begin with, right? Is like
Yeah.
I got into this space for freedom. And so, that was kind of the cycle I went through. And again, you described it so eloquently, is like I came into this space thinking I get to dictate my own schedule. I have the freedom. I don't have to have someone else tell me when to work now.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then it became, oh, I need to be everyone to everybody. Now I'm working, around the clock all day, every day. Even when I'm with my family, I'm not even thinking about them. I'm just thinking about work, right? And so it is this cycle. And so that's the beauty of what I think virtual assistants can give back to people is take your time back, take your freedom back. And if there is a few people that you lose, a few clients, a few prospects, a few people who are like, Joanna didn't pick up her phone on the first call, boom, I'm done. I'm contracting with somebody else. It's like, well, guess what? Joanna's got a life, see ya. Like she's got stuff she's got to do. She also has an IMO she has to run and she can't answer that phone even when she is working. She's got really, really important things that she has to do. So I don't know. I'm just super proud of you. I really am. I'm super excited to see where you're at and what you're doing this year. And I'm 100% rooting for you all the time. I want you to know that even if I am not answering, just like you said, I probably have 3 kids piled on top of me and I'm drowning in daddy duty, just like Christian.
But that's what we do it for. We do this work so we can have the lives we want with the people we care the most about,
100%.
And I learned that, especially last year when I was busting my butt in AEP working at midnight for some agents that didn't care nothing about me or my health or my family time, And they'd be like, oh, you didn't do this for me. I'm gone. Bye. I'm like, man, I gotta be more selective with people I give my time to, And the same thing was, not all money is good money. I can replace that client,
Yes.
You're $25 a month. Psh, I am not stressing it.
What a great mindset. Honestly, I can't stress that enough. And if there's one thing I think agents could really take away is beyond utilizing a virtual assistant to get your time back.
Yeah,
you can replace lost money. If you do lose a client and they're upset over something silly, like, again, you didn't answer the phone on that first call, or, man, I need to speak to Joanna tomorrow. You're telling me her calendar's booked out till next week. Don't stress about that. Like, letting that person control you mentally. I think we've all been there. We've all been there.
Years. I used to stress about stuff and antagonize about it all night long, thinking like, how could I have done better or different, and now maybe it's because I turned 40 and I'm like, you know what? None of that matters in the grand scheme of things. Somebody said if it's not going to matter in 5 years, don't give it 5 minutes,
Yes, I love that.
And it's the truth, nobody's going to be that demanding where they say, I need to speak to Joanna right now because what you're at the doctor's office, I can pull your policy right there, if you give your VA the tools, they can do everything that you would have an admin do in your office,
Yep.
They're not calling their doctor and demanding to see the doctor when he has patients, she has patients. They're not doing it to their lawyer. And I feel like we're just as skilled. We make $300 to $600 an hour, some of us more, and that's why Melissa came and got an insurance license because she's like, hey, you're doing a little bit better than me as an attorney, But we have to value ourselves just as much,
Yes.
Even if you're starting off and you only have 10 clients or whatever, you are worth so much, and you're worth the respect. If someone doesn't respect your time, like you don't walk into their job and demand to speak to them, they know it. They could probably can't get their own boss on the phone, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So I think it's just a matter of teaching people, you know?
I agree.
But if you answer the phone at midnight, you're going to create the perception that you're available at midnight, you
Yeah.
know?
Block your
Mhm.
schedule. One of the best, healthiest things I ever did, is bringing in a virtual assistant to manage my schedule, blocking out my schedule for work and personal time,
Yep.
where it's like, I am not available during these days at these times, period. And live your life,
Mhm.
and you're going to be so much happier. And ultimately, your health and happiness will lead to more income. I really do believe that too, even if you don't see it right away.
Yes, because the stress is going to be taken off. Like having Emma, how long have I had Emma? A couple months now.
Yeah.
Just the stress on my back just lifted, and like I'm no longer having anxiety about forgetting things or, oh my God, how am I gonna do all these things tomorrow when I have to fly out Friday and stuff like that. Like
Yep.
it's just, and then the part of my French, but you have to adapt it. I don't give a fuck attitude for
Yeah.
something, you know.
100%.
Like, I mean, I don't want anybody who's gonna cuss and call my phone at 3 o'clock in the morning. Nobody does.
Yeah.
Nobody's
Seriously.
gonna tolerate that person, you know.
Nobody's like, oh, let me help you right away. I'm so sorry. I'm so
There's
sorry. It's
no
3
insurance
a.m.
going on at, after hours,
Yeah.
No. I mean,
Well, I want to be respectful of your
yeah,
time, which is so on cue with
because I
where this
have another one.
conversation went, right? Is being respectful of your time and making sure you're doing the highest level generating activities,
Exactly.
right? The highest revenue generating activities with your time, because you are just one person. So you do have to prioritize and you need to, delegate the rest of that.
Delegation.
So guys, if you're interested in anything Hire Heroes related, once we get off the live here, I'm going to have Joanna drop the link so you can take a look at the site. If you want to sign up and jump on a call, either myself or my assistant, Nikki, who is
Nikki is
awesome.
phenomenal.
Yeah, she handles all of the onboarding at Hire Heroes. So either myself or Nikki, or maybe both of us will be on that first call, and we'll go through kind of the tasks and the needs, do kind of a needs analysis, and then see who would be the best fit at Hire Heroes for you. And then typically within about 3 business days, we can have a virtual assistant plugged in and ready to go. And then hopefully we can have more transformations like Joanna, where, again, you can focus on just those most important tasks. So Joanna, I can't tell you how much I enjoyed this conversation. I really did. I love
think you
that.
should be proud of me.
I really am. No, I really am. And like, this was super transparent and honest, right? Like this, it wasn't like a scripted conversation at all, you guys. Like, I've had these conversations with her over and over where it's like, why are you doing this?
Why are you contracted 3 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah. Yes. So I'm really excited to see where Top Flight Insurance goes. I think it's going to the moon.
To the moon.
To the moon.
All right, y'all. Thank you for having us today. Glenn Shelton, Lead Heroes, Hire Heroes, phenomenal VA assistants. They also do leads over there as well. I just can't say enough about the quality of people. I just, honest, trustworthy people.
I appreciate that, Joanna. And again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate everybody in Medicare Mentors, anybody who's watching this.
We are the best group.
We are. Don't tell anybody.
I saw Christian try to throw some shade at me yesterday, saying that he is now the second biggest. I said, no, I'm claiming my spot back.
Hey, best? Who cares how big you are if you're not the best?
Oh,
Just saying. Just saying.
Thank you. Thank you.
Woohoo. That was awesome.